Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joe Sked. The 2024-25 season is finally over, but it has at least finished on a positive note with 4 wins from 4 under interim head coach Liam Fox, latest of which was a 1-0 win at Rugby Park earlier this afternoon. Now this will just be a quick reaction video / podcast, depends how you listen to it, to this afternoon's game. I've currently got water boiling for my dinner, for some pasta. I would like to have a drink or two, and I would actually want to watch some baseball, like the sad, boring individual that I am. But before we jump into the victory in Ayrshire, Hearts Standard is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Start your search today. Now, let's go back to the start of the game, the 51st and final game of what has been a quick, tiring, interesting, at times nonsensical season, and this certainly fit in with everything that we've had to endure this season. Go back to the starting 11. Harry Milne kept his place at left back. Stephen Kingsley came in for Craig Halkett at left centre back. Zander Clark made his first start since the second game of the season, with Ryan Fulton dropping to the bench. Jan Danda started wide. Once more from him on Wednesday, wasn't it? Kenneth Vargas was injured. And Callum Newhoff started in the middle of the pitch. It was his second start of the season, having missed a very large chunk due to injury. Now, I'll be honest, first half was there was periods, long periods there where I was sitting thinking, what am I going to write about here? Other than good riddance that this season is finally over, because everything about a large period of the first half was what you'd expect from an end of season dead rubber. It was lovely sunshine, but he just had that feeling of not meaning a lot, but evidently there was nothing on the kind of nothing at stake, nothing to play for. The big talking point from the first 40 minutes or so was Zander Clark's injury. The game kind of stopped at the other end of the pitch, and it was after 22 minutes, and you looked up the other end of the pitch, and Zander Clark was sitting down in his box. And when someone does that, you know there is an issue. And as it proved, Liam Fox said afterwards, it seems like someone had landed on him. So he had to be replaced. Ryan Fulton, who'd not conceded, not conceded a goal. My memory is shocking. But in essence, two decent performances. We only beat St Johnstone 2-1. Of course, Graham Carey's free kicker, could forget about that. Ryan Fulton, two decent performances in his first two games for the club. He came on, but again he was untested. The way Zander Clark was untested, there was not a lot happening in that first half. But we will come back to Ryan Fulton later. The biggest talking point in the first half was Jan Danda's red card. Now, I think everyone in the stadium thought that it was going to be if there was going to be a red card, it would have been for one of two Kilmarnock players. Now, the incident leading to it, so Hearts were awarded a free kick. Jan Danda picked up a great ball. It was Benny, played a brilliant ball to kind of cut through the lines of the Kilmarnock midfield to find Danda in space coming in off the left flank, and he was brought down by David Watson, and then momentum took him into Stuart Finlay. Both were kind of lying on the deck, and Finlay had to have treatment, and then the referee, Dan McFarlane, got called over to the monitor, and at that point you're thinking it's going to be Kilmarnock. They've had so many red cards this season, and you kind of just expected if it was going to be one. And then he's seen the replays, and he actually thought, hold on, actually might be Danda who might be in trouble here. And I've only watched a clip on Twitter and watched it on Fawa News over someone's shoulder at the game, but it looks bad, and still images look really bad, but still images don't tell you never really tell you the whole story when you see it. And if you were just to look at it in isolation, Danda is as committed or serious. He's committed serious foul play and probably worthy of a red card. But it seems like there's no context taken into it. The fact that it just looks like it was kind of a trip or pull by David Watson, and then that's impacted him going into Stuart Finlay, and it doesn't seem like that's been taken into account. Like we go ahead to the winning goal from Stephen Kingsley, and it was like checking handball, checking offside, and it just didn't seem like that was taken into account. It might have done. I don't know that. It's probably something I should have looked up before coming on, but I don't know the rules off the back of my back of my hand, and I don't know if that is something that the referees are asked to consider, or if they just don't and they just look at the challenge in isolation. But yeah, it looked a bad one. Well, it was a bad one, but in the context, you can understand where how Dander's got into that challenge, and he might not have done if he hadn't been committed a foul. So from having had a foul committed against him, he'd been sent off, and Kilmarnock had the foul as well as a man advantage. Half time, Hearts came back out, and Fox had changed to a 4-3-2, and again there was not a lot of, in those early periods, not a lot of action. Hearts had to sustain a lot of pressure, and those Kilmarnock did create chances, but it felt like watching Hearts at times where got into good areas, but actually never really threatened. I think I had one shot on target in the entire second half, despite having a lot of attempts. They didn't really create too many like properly clear-cut chances, one or two, but they never really tested Ryan Fulton. And then you add into that, Ryan Fulton was actually injured, and for a good period you were thinking Hearts are going to have to put someone in goals. There was a communication between Fulton and Ken, and then Ken on the bench, and then the Fox and Fulton. Fulton just kind of almost saying, just carry on, we'll see how it goes. And then he motioned to say, I'll just throw everything. I won't kick anything. It was his issue with his groin, so he wasn't kicking anything. Looked uncomfortable when he had to. So then all other players, defenders, were taking like goal kicks and stuff. And Hearts kind of just committed. They made the triple change. I think it was around the 66-minute mark, and basically that was the 5 changes, because Harry Milne had been taken off like 5-6 minutes before for Craig Halkett. Harry Milne after really impressing against St Johnstone, had a difficult afternoon. I just think he's obviously not played a lot of football, and his legs he just tired in the second half, and he was up against Danny Armstrong. Armstrong has not had a brilliant season by his own standards, but he certainly caused fullbacks issues in the past, and he did cause Milne an issue or two. It was a couple of times Milne dived in, and Armstrong was able to skip away. One time committed a free kick. There was a moment in the second half where Armstrong got into the box, and that's when I think the conversation started to happen around Halkett coming on and Kingsley going to left back. But Milne, he did show kind of his willingness to run forward and attack as well. So it wasn't as good as Wednesday, but it was only his third start since joining in January, and then the triple change. I thought that was an important one in the context of the game. Callum Munoz was amongst that. He started his first game, only second game this season. I think I mentioned that, but he too thought he contributed, especially down to 10 men, a lot of energy, a lot of running, and he helped with that midfield three and helped as best possible. When you look at the midfield three of Neuenhoff, Benny and Devlin, that's the midfield three you want when you're down to 10 men, because they'll do a lot of running, they'll make it difficult for the opposition, and that's how it was. But there was a couple of moments in the first half where he got into good positions on the ball. He passed it. He was the one that was asked to kind of support Shankland, push up for the most from the central position, and he got on the ball in a couple of good areas, kind of driving from the middle third to the final third. But he was kind of just maybe a bit too tentative. He seemed unsure of himself, and again, he's not played a lot of football, and that might just be kind of lack of confidence or getting a feel of things again. But there was moments where he could have just played a pass and put Kelly under real trouble, or just maybe his decision making was off, or he's a bit slow. But that triple change around the 66-minute mark, and the game really opened up after that. I felt that Kelly just tried to go for the win, just really, and they kind of left themselves left spaces at the back, and Hearts had Cabangu and Wilson as their front two to who could take advantage and run into those spaces. I think Kelly were at that point a back three, but at least one centre back was pushing on. So Hearts had that opportunity, and again, just down to decision making. So it did have a basketball feel to it. Kilmarnock fans would have been frustrated. Hearts fans would have been encouraged by it, and it felt at times that Hearts were the more likely to score. And yeah, it looked if there was some better decision makings, then Hearts could have went in front earlier before Kingsley scores right at the 89th minute, and Hearts hold on for kind of revenge for the last time the teams played at Rugby Park, when Hearts lost to 10 men and played against 10 men for a wee bit longer than Killie did today. But it was ultimately a bit of a fun end of like when you've ended the school term, where the supply teacher wheels in the TV. That's kind of how the second half felt. But ultimately Hearts won, and that makes it 4 wins from 4. It's been absolutely disappointing season, but at least there's a wee bit of kind of positive momentum going into the summer, where there's going to be a new era. I've got Jamestown, a lot of new signings, a new head coach on the horizon as well, and when you get to the bottom 6, you want to win all 5 games. There was a change after losing the Dundee game. The minimum they could do was win the next 4 games, which you've done. And I think today was good in the sense that the team dug in, they battled, they won, they got the appreciation of the away crowd, deservedly so at the end. I suppose the biggest focus for me was on Liam Fox. He's now won 5 games across 2 interim spells. He was obviously announced on Saturday that he'd be leaving at the end of the season. Andrew McKinley in the release said that they're looking to start completely afresh with the new management team. There's not space for him. Personally, I would have liked him to stay on. He's a very good coach. He's very popular with the first team squad. He's very popular around the building. Good guy to deal with. He gets Hearts fan. And he's seen that after I urge you to watch his final interview after the game, and he that emotion was there. Asked him about the fans singing his name like early in the interview, and he kind of just he answered, yeah, it meant a lot, but you could tell there that he didn't go into more deal because he knew he'd probably choke up, and that's what he did at the end when he thanked the fans. Just that he's had not been able to play for the Hearts first team, having come through the academy, and this was kind of like the next best thing is to manage them. Okay, it's not a permanent job, but he's over 2 interim spells, 5 wins from 7 games. He's delivered probably two of certainly the most important results this season, as in our first win of the season against Dynamo Minsk in the Conference League in Azerbaijan, and kind of at least having not won up until then, and just ending that run of not winning games, and then the win at Ross County, where there was a real fear that Hearts losing that and it getting dragged into a battle to avoid 11th spot. That took a lot of pressure off, and then he's built on it and added another 3 wins to that. So yeah, I'm sure he will go into another really good role, whether it's as a first team coach or a head coach. I know that he wants to do that at some point in the future, whether it's sooner rather than later. But he'll have been a better coach for his time at Hearts, where he did really well with the B team, led them to second place in the Lowland League. I know results are the most important thing at B team level, but it's still a very good job. And then what he's done as interim spell and part of the and then also had that experience of part of the coaching staff. So yeah, it's a shame that he's not being kept on, but he at least he's contributed massively this season, and ended on a high, as Hearts did too. And so that was just a whirlwind look back at this afternoon's proceedings. Season 24-25 done and dusted after 51 games. 55 days now to the League Cup group stage, July 12th or 13th. Mark that on your calendar. That'll be the first competitive fixture of the season. Can't remember when the draw is made, but I think it might be later on this month or the start of next month. So we'll keep an eye on that. Me and Craig might try to make sense of the season as a whole in the next week or so, but we'll see what this week brings in terms of manager news and take it from there. We'll see. Yeah, it's sure to be a busy couple of weeks, whether it's around the head coach or well as about players coming and going. Like today, Lauren Shanklin was taken off, and that's a triple sub around the 66-minute mark, and got a huge ovation from the away fans who chanted his name. Whether that's going to be his last game or not, we don't know. He'll have to decide that. We'll have a conversation with Derek McInnes. He'll have to consider his options, which I think he's fair to do. He's out of contract. He'll be out of contract. I think it's only fair that after the 3 years he's given Hearts, that he does look at what's on offer for him before deciding. I know Hearts fans might think you need to make Hearts your number one choice, but again, there might be an opportunity there for him to make a lot of money on a new challenge. Hopefully, he stays because again he scored 68 goals across 3 seasons. Derek McInnes wants him to stay because he knows that he can pose up the top of the park. So we'll see with that. Elton Kabangu as well. Hear from him later on in the week. We spoke to him after the game, but those are embargoed. See what there'll be a decision over him. Certainly been reports in Belgium around him staying at Hearts, and there is an aspect of his contract that will need to be decided between Hearts and Union Saint-Gilloise. I don't think he has a future at Union Saint-Gilloise, so that will need to be decided. And then, of course, the prospective new signings once Derek McInnes is in the job. But we will tackle all that in the coming days and week and try and look back at the season in a bit more depth. But I'll end it there. I would just like to say thank you very much, everyone, for enduring us, listening to us, making us part of your Hearts content throughout the season. Wish we could have been talking about far more positive results, but that's what happens sometimes. So yes, thank you very much everyone for listening, and also a huge congratulations for surviving the season.